Hey guys, it's Bill from Linden, Tennessee. So it seems as though the lights are out. The moon. Not sure what. In my viewfinder, there's a little dot right above the moon. I can see it on the viewfinder, but I can't see it in real life. IRL. I don't know what that is. Anyway, so what do we got here? We got the dark. You're familiar with my little fog light, and it works really good. But let me show you something else. Boom. How about that? So that is some gigantic floodlights, and I made a little mount for them. And now that I've showed them to you in all their glory, I'll go inside and show you what I've done here. So, all right, stand by. Okay, so here they are. These are just some big old powerful LED floodlights. There's a place in I've been there before, Cape Girardeau. They sell these things, and these were kind of the prototypes. At the time, they hadn't really done anything with them, and I managed to get a hold of a couple of them. So this bar here, with the little thing that goes into a 2-inch receiver, of course, this has got some holes in it. And so what the idea of this is that you put a pin in here, on the rear hitch, it'll have more room, but like you could put a spool of barbed wire on there, or chicken wire or something on there, and that way whenever you pull it out, it's just sitting there, it's on the ground, and you don't have to hold it or anything, and it just spins free. So if you wanted to run, say, 3 strands of barbed wire, you'd put one spool down there, probably have another hole here with a washer on, a pin in it with a washer on top of it, another spool of barbed wire there, and then put a pin in there with a washer and a third spool. And in that way, if this was mounted on the back, then you could just have the 3 wrapped around your first fence post, and then you just drive, and it would just unspool all 3. It would just unspool all 3 barbed wires. Or if you had chicken wire, then you could do the same thing with that. So that's what that was originally, a long time ago. This has just been sitting in the shed getting all rusty. But I got a hold of these things and wanted to do something with them, so that's what I did. And of course it plugs in down to my little auxiliary. And to make that go, you turn on the master power there, and it comes to life. And then you turn on the PTO. And in this case, it's not necessary to use the variable power. You can, and if you do that, then it just ramps up the power slow. So it doesn't have to be full, but yeah, you just flip on the power, and let's see how many watts it pulls. So we're sitting here about 23. Turn these dudes on, and it goes up to 205. So what's that? 180 watts. Yeah, it's about 180 watts. So 90 watts a piece, and that's a lot for LEDs, like as you could see when we're outside. So that's pretty awesome. Pretty excited about that. Another thing I did today was I made this little dude. Actually, stand by. Right. So when I was doing the lean-to, you saw that I had an inverter, and at the time I just had the thing sort of sitting anywhere where it could sit, but that's not really good enough. So I wanted to make this. I've actually got 2 of these things. One of them's on my other little electric tractor, and I was going to stack them sort of one on top of each other with some all thread going down into the holes there. But it turns out that one has like just fractionally different locations for the mounting studs. So, I mean, it's nothing that a little die grinder wouldn't fix, but I just didn't want to mess with it today. But yeah, so that's what that is. What I'll probably end up doing is taking like the end of an extension cord and sort of running it down into maybe a 4-way socket down here or something, because this is kind of, it's kind of janky. It's not in there very good. It's not really up to the task of putting the plug in and pulling it out. So I'll probably run it down to like a little 4-way thing down there. Or if I have the other one, also have a 4-way, but one inverter will be one pair of plugs and the other inverter will be the other one. And that's what I'll do there. Obviously I don't have it hooked up yet, but the positive and minus goes there, and it'll just be a cable that goes bloop into the thing there. and that's all. That's what that's going to be. So that's pretty awesome. Happy about that. And yeah, so that's what I've undone today. And of course, goes into a 2-inch receiver hitch, and both the flood lights and the inverter, they could also go into the back, into that one there. So those are two things that I've been wanting to do for a really long time. And the only thing left that is still on my list of things to do is to run some wires to my little taillights there. So that way, whenever the power is on, then the taillights come on, just for the hell of it. But okay, well, we'll talk to you later. Yeah, so I was going to go to bed. It's not that late, but I was going to call it a night tonight. But I decided, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and make these cables. So just plugs in right there, and there it is. An inverter, 2,000 watt inverter. Now I could get any size inverter at all. It runs off 48 volts. In fact, this big boy in here, this is the one that runs my whole house. It's got all these batteries, but all those batteries are the same voltage that's on that little tractor there. So, so yeah, that big guy right there, I could conceivably have a inverter that big mounted to this thing. It wouldn't. I mean, it wouldn't run very long if you had it on full load. It wouldn't pull that much power anyway. Anywho, yeah. So yeah, I could do that if I wanted to. But then there's other ones. That one in there is a 12,000 watt inverter. This is 2,000. A more appropriate size for this would probably be 4,000 or 5,000 watts. But you know, it's pretty good. And another cool thing I could do, I just thought of this just now, is if I ran an extension cord from that outlet over to here, I could just plug the tractor into the house, and it would just be, you know, an additional set of batteries running the house and doing all of those things. So that's kind of interesting. I hadn't really thought about that until just right now, but I could totally do that. And that might be a kind of cool thing to do once this guy's out of here and I got some room in here. I could just have this parked, you know, over here somewhere with it's kind of a long extension cord going there, and you know, why not? It's another 4 kilowatt hours. Wouldn't hurt anything. So, okay, that is all for now. I'll see you next time. All right, guys, we are in the shed, or lean-to, solar shed. I haven't come up with a cool name for it yet, but yeah, that's what it all looks like on the inside. Just started doing some wiring. I'm going to have 3 110 outlets there. On that back wall, I'm going to have a 220 on the other side of that stud there. For like maybe I'll have a plasma cutter in here one day or something. I don't know. And then I kind of tossed and debated on how to do this, but I ended up getting a sub box. Anyway, that I ended up getting one of those. So that's going to come off of the line that goes both to and from the house. There's a 50 amp circuit breaker next to the solar inverter outside, and that's just going to feed into there. And then I've got a 30 amp 220 breaker that I'll run to that plug I was talking about. And then I've got 2 15 amp, 20 amp breakers that I will run to light and circuit electric boxes. I'll have the light switch will be over here for no particular reason. Could have put it on the other side. Still could put it on the other side. Could have 2. I don't know. And it'll just control the outlet. I'm just going to plug that straight into an outlet up there, and that'll be fine. And yeah. Oh, and tonight's light is being brought to us by the letter F for fog lights. So that is the the very thing that I just put together last night is actually working for me today. So that's kind of cool. And man, it really does a fabulous job in here. And then also, this is kind of fun, on the back, I've got my little inverter mounted. So I had my extension cord running in there, and that's how I used the jigsaw to cut the hole in the wall for that. So the inverter goes either on the front or the back, like I said. I wish I'd have made that cable about 1 inch longer. I mean, it's long enough. It's not stressed or anything, but it is a little tight, but you know, that's okay. And yeah, you can have them run at the same time, and you know, you just flip that thing on and there it is. So yeah, because the that contactor that I'm using for the lights is the same one that runs the back there, so you can have them both run at the same time. I think one thing I'm going to do with this for sure is I left these wires here long, and well, that's bright. I left these wires here long going into that little junction box. I think I'm going to make like a little box that'll just hang off of that cross member there and have two switches. Just have two little rocker switches, so I can have either one of these or both of them off. So that's how that's going to work. But anyway, didn't really get as much of this done as I would have liked, but I am short some things, and I can't remember what. I can't remember what I'm short. Oh, I need to get, well, back here I'm going to kind of make it look halfway nice. I'm going to use actual conduit to run the wires through. And then once it goes into the circuit box on the inside, then I'll go from the, then I'll go outside of that box along that paneling, probably run up against that 1x up there. I'll just run wire up there. I may run it in conduit. I may not. Probably not. There's, you know, at some point you have to go, okay, this is ridiculous. Don't be too OCD. Anyway. Oh, that's what I need. I need another ground. I've got some number 6, maybe, or number 8 wire down there laying on the ground. And I've got L1, L2, and a bare copper ground, but I don't have a neutral. So I need to get a white or green, I guess, any color really, but to make it in code, if you care, you'd put a white piece of tape on it to indicate that it's white. You'd have it white on this side and white on wherever it terminates, but I need to get that. That's the thing I need to get. And so I'm kind of stuck until I do that. But that's how this is going to work. And eventually, maybe, I may run another 220 line from that plug all the way on over here into this corner and put an EVSE, what most people would call an electric vehicle charger. It's not actually a charger, but that's something I may do. And I put a little lock that goes into the ground there. And then up here, it doesn't quite line up because the door's got a little bit of bow in it. So what I'll do is I'll just put a piece of 8-inch steel just right there, screwed into the top here, and that'll keep the door flat on that side. And then on the other side, I've got kind of the same latch there, you know, for the lock to keep the door closed. And with that, I'm going to have to put a little 1/8-inch plate down there because this door is twisted the other way. So that's okay. And yeah, man, that's it. So pretty good weekend. Got a lot of stuff done on the tractor, and I got started on the little lean-to. Once I get this wiring done in here, I'm going to do a big old cleanup and start transferring stuff from the garage. So that's pretty exciting. All right, guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.